Welcome to our channel. If you have been watching the news lately, you probably feel like you are living in a high-budget action movie where the hero is missing and the villains are fighting over the thermostat. Between the explosions in the Middle East and the numbers at the gas pump looking like they are auditioning for a role in a horror film, it is easy to want to pull the covers over your head. But today, we are going to look at why, for your bank account, this chaos might actually be the best thing since sliced bread, or at least since the invention of the index fund. Let's start with a reality check from history. While everyone else is panic, selling their stocks to buy gold bars and canned peaches, the smart money is looking at the last 40 years of data. According to research from the Kobeissi letter, oil shocks are historically nothing more than a giant neon sign saying, "Sale today." Since 1986, we have seen 7 instances where oil prices pulled a stunt and jumped 20% in just 2 days. Now, you would think the stock market would fall off a cliff, right? Wrong. In 6 out of those 7 times, the S&P 500 was actually higher a year later. We are talking about an average return of 24% in the 12 months following a major oil shock. The only time this did not work was during the 2008 financial crisis. And let's be honest, oil was the least of our problems when the entire global banking system was basically a house of cards in a hurricane. The most insane comeback was after the 2020 pandemic crash. When oil prices went crazy back then, the S&P 500 did not just recover, it went on a 54% tear. Sure, that was helped by the government printing money, like it was going out of style, but the pattern is clear. Unless the oil shock triggers a massive decade-long depression, the market usually treats it like a temporary speed bump on the way to record highs. This is why the big shots at the Bank for International Settlements are telling everyone to just stay calm and ignore the temporary price spikes. It is a textbook case of market overreaction, and history says that if you can keep your cool while everyone else is losing theirs, you stand to make a killing. Now, let's talk about the master of ceremonies for this current chaos, Iran. According to scholars like Professor Nasser from Johns Hopkins University, Tehran has moved past the old school way of fighting wars. They are not just interested in a border skirmish, they are literally declaring war on the global economy. They have realized that the world's greatest superpower has a glass jaw, and that jaw is the price of a gallon of gas in a suburban neighborhood. Iran knows that while the average American might not be able to find the Strait of Hormuz on a map, they definitely know when it costs $100 to fill up their SUV. Iran is playing a game of economic pinch from both sides of the Arabian Peninsula. On one side, you have the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil flows through a gap so narrow that a few well-placed sea mines can turn it into a parking lot. On the other side, you have the Houthi rebels in the Red Sea, acting like the world's most dangerous bouncers at the entrance to the Suez Canal, if they decide to turn up the heat. Analysts at The Economist warn that oil could jump from $113 to nearly $200 a barrel. That kind of price tag is not just an inconvenience. It is the kind of economic damage that could force even the most aggressive government to start begging for a ceasefire. And Iran isn't just going after the oil. They are targeting the nervous system of the modern world. We are talking about drone strikes on Amazon data centers, flight disruptions at Dubai's massive airports, and even hitting the shipping lanes for fertilizer. Think about that for a second. If you cannot get fertilizer through the strait, you cannot grow crops. If you cannot grow crops, the price of your morning avocado toast is going to go through the roof. It is a brilliant, if terrifying, strategy of asymmetric warfare using cheap drones and old mines to create billion-dollar headaches for the global supply chain. But wait, I hear you asking, but we produce our own oil. We are number one. Why do we care? Well, welcome to the great American energy paradox. We are indeed the top producer, but our oil is like a finely tuned sports car. It is light and sweet, which is perfect for making gasoline. However, the world runs on heavy oil, which is more like the diesel and jet fuel that keeps the trucks and planes moving. Because our refineries were built decades ago to handle the heavy stuff from the Middle East, we actually export about a third of our light oil and import a third of the heavy stuff we actually need. This means that even if we are swimming in crude, we are still tethered to the drama in the Persian Gulf. When Singapore diesel prices jump 57% and jet fuel rockets up 114%, it does not matter how much oil we have in Texas. Your Amazon delivery and your flight to visit grandma are still going to cost a fortune. This is why the CEOs of the biggest oil companies in the world, we are talking, the bosses of ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips recently rushed to the White House to give the government a reality check. They warned that if speculative money starts pouring into the market, we could see prices that make our current situation look like the good old days. Trump might be posting on social media that higher oil prices mean we make more money, but the industry leaders know that the math is not that simple. You cannot just flip a switch and replace the 10 million barrels of oil that flow through the Strait of Hormuz every day. While the world is obsessed with oil, there is another drama happening in the tech world that might actually be the silver lining for your portfolio. We are calling it the CPO factor. If you think of AI chips like a Ferrari engine, the traditional way we move data using copper wires is like trying to drive that Ferrari on a dirt road during a traffic jam. It is slow, it gets hot, and it is holding everything back. The solution is silicon photonics, or CPO, which basically replaces those copper wires with light. It is like building a 12-lane highway directly into the engine of the AI revolution. While energy stocks are busy riding the oil waves, tech investors are looking at companies in the silicon photonics supply chain as the diamonds in the rough that will thrive regardless of what happens in the Middle East. As we navigate this nightmare scenario where Iran is threatening to attack American university campuses in the region and 701 airstrikes are hitting Tehran in a single day, it is easy to feel overwhelmed. We are seeing stagflation ghosts reappear, and the world is holding its breath to see if $140 oil will become the new normal. But if the last 40 years have taught us anything, it is that the market is a survivor. It has survived the Cold War, the 2000 tech bubble, and a global pandemic that literally shut down the planet. The chaos is real. The gunpowder is in the air. And Trump might be claiming he has already taken control of the Trump Strait, but the underlying data tells a different story. It tells a story of resilience and opportunity. It says that when the headlines are the scariest, the profit potential is often the highest. So keep an eye on the news, keep an eye on the charts, and maybe keep a little extra cash on hand to pick up the diamonds when everyone else is running for the exits. Thank you for spending your time with us as we try to make sense of this crazy world. We hope this deep dive into the history of oil shocks and the future of tech gave you some much-needed perspective. If you enjoyed our unique take on the news, please make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an update. And if you could hit that like button, it really helps us reach more people who might be feeling a bit lost in all this noise. We will see you in the next one.